Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today on our 2020 Ford Ranger, we're going to be showing you how to install the Blue Ox base plate kit with removable arms. But before we get into that, why don't we just take a minute, check this out, and make sure it's going to work for you. Before we jump right in, I figured it'd be useful just to kind of refresh ourselves on the main parts that we're going to need to flat tow our Ranger down the road in the first place. And first part will be the base plate. That'll provide us with a solid and reliable attachment point. That way we can hook our tow bar up to it. Tow bar will be the second component, and that's going to be the physical link that actually connects the front of our Ranger to the back of the motorhome. Third main part will be safety cables, and those are just there in the event of an unlikely disconnect. They're going to keep your truck and your coach connected. The fourth main part will be tow bar wiring. What that's going to do is transfer the lighting signals from the back of your RV to the back of your Ford, keeping you safe and legal. And last but not least, the fifth major component will be a supplemental braking system. What that's going to do is apply the brakes in your Ranger whenever you hit the brakes in your motorhome, helping to bring you to a more safe and predictable stop. There are two more smaller components that I definitely recommend using with the Ford Ranger. One of them is what's called a brake light relay, and what that's going to do is prevent the motorhome's brake signal from overriding the Ranger's turn signal. So let's say, without a brake light relay, if you choose not to use one, what would happen is if you're at a stop sign, say making a left turn, so you got on your brakes and on your left turn signal, the motorhome's left turn will be going and the brakes will be on. But back here, you'll just have brake lights. That brake light signal will override the turn signal. So, it can be confusing for other people behind you. And the right way to do it is use that relay. The other thing I suggest is a towed vehicle charge line kit. What that'll do is essentially maintain or trickle charge your Ranger's battery whenever you're flat towing it. That way you'll have a full charge when you're ready to disconnect, and the supplemental braking system will have the constant voltage it needs to operate efficiently. This is what the front of your Ranger can look like whenever you're not flat towing it, and I like it. Personally, it's simple, easy to use, and doesn't look out of place. The base plates actually replace the factory tow hooks, so you already had something similar here to begin with, and just replacing it with this. It has a matte black finish, so it kind of blends in, and like I said, it doesn't really stand out or take away from the looks of the front of the truck. Whenever you are ready to use it, you can pull out these little plugs, which are a nice touch, honestly. Just helps, prevent debris and stuff from getting in the base plate and chewing it up. So pretty cool there. Has these removable arms, and with these, you put them in, rotate them about a quarter turn, and they'll lock into place. Same setup for the other side. And now you're gonna have a way to hook up your tow bar. So this is gonna work with most Blue Ox tow bars and even other manufacturers. So let's say, for example, if you already happen to have, let's say a Roadmaster tow bar with different ends, you can always pick up adapters, change them out, and allow you to pair up to this style of base plate. So regardless on what tow bar you want to use, chances are pretty good you're going to be able to make it work. So when it comes down to it, an excellent base plate option, to be honest with you. Very functional, easy to use, and looks good. Compared to some of the other ones out there, not a ton of differences. They're all going to get the job done. One of the things I like about this one is the fact when you go to install it, you don't have to remove the front bumper like some of the other ones. So definitely saves quite a bit of time there and makes it a little more simple. And with how the Ranger's set up too, having the bumper on, you still have the space you need to do other components like a braking system or wiring, and that doesn't always hold true for other vehicles. So I think this does have an advantage there in terms of installation and how much time it's going to take you. But because of that, it's really not too bad to get this thing set up. So if you'd like to hang around, we'll go ahead, pull into the garage, and put it on together now. To begin our installation, we're going to be underneath the front of a Ranger here, and some Rangers will be equipped with a plastic shroud piece that kind of runs along this bottom edge. Ours doesn't have it. If yours does, check the instructions. You'll have to remove it. It's just a handful of bolts, but Just want to throw that out there. But in our case, with it being gone, we can start to get this underbody shield removed. To get this removed, we're going to have 4 15mm head bolts. These 2 towards the back. The shield's actually slotted, so I'm not going to completely remove these. I'll probably pull them out about halfway. Something like that. And then these ones here towards the front, pull all the way out. Definitely want to support this. I should be able to kind of drop this down some and get it removed. What you can do now is these little tow hook covers, you can kind of pull these down, slide them off. And I want to mention from this point on, anything we do to one side of the vehicle, we're also going to do to the other side because it'll be set up the same way. You can get the tow hook removed. There's going to be 2 15mm head bolts that we need to pull out. We can grab our plates now, and these are going to be side specific, so refer to the diagram and the instructions if you need to. Driver side plates will have these edges here. The passenger side ones will be more squared off, and you want this portion to face towards the back of the truck. So this is going to go on the driver's side, the outside of our frame rail. And what you're going to do is take one of these bolts. This is one of the longer ones that comes in the kit. Has a small shoulder on it there. And take a split lock washer and a flat washer, run that through. And then on this side, you're going to put on 2 more flat washers like that. And the way this is going to work, this is going to go through a pre-existing hole in the frame, and then you'll take this handle nut and that'll go inside the frame rail, and that's how you're going to secure that bolt. I do suggest with these, running the bolt through the handle nut first to clear out any potential debris or slag or anything that may be in there from when they welded this. And with that said, all of the hardware that we're going to use to secure our base plate is going to receive some red Loctite on the threads. So we'll get this prepped and then we can get it up into position. The side of the frame rail, that's that factory hole you're going to use right there. So take the plate, push a bolt through the hole. The front of the frame rail, we have this opening and our bolt is poking through the inside. That's when you can take the handle nut and get it lined up and get it started hand tight. The inner plate is going to work essentially the same way. Hardware will be a little different. You'll have this thicker bolt put on, just a split washer on this one. But that's going to go through, have the matching handle nut, and like I said, it'll work the same way. We can grab this portion of our base plate now, which are also side specific. You're going to want this flatter side to sit up against the frame. And then where the tow hook is, that's going to be towards the inside of our truck. But holes in that are going to line up with the weld nuts that we're originally holding our tow hook on. So you can take the existing tow hook bolts, put on your Loctite. And I like to just grab a 15 mil socket and extension. We'll put them through the base plate there and then get these started hand tight. On our plates that we installed that drop down, there's going to be 2 holes on each one that'll line up with the holes here in this portion of our base plate. And so what you're going to do, take these 3/8 bolts, put on a split lock washer or flat washer. You're going to run that through, and then on the other side, where the bolt comes out, you can take one of these 9L lock nuts and get it started hand tight. And I'm going to use that same hardware combination for the 3 remaining holes. Once you have all the hardware in place and hand tight, we can come back and snug it all up. I like to tighten up the factory 15mm head bolts first. That way it'll kind of draw everything up tight against the frame, and then we can come back and snug everything else down. Using a 9/16 socket and wrench to do these. Once it's all snug, you need to make sure and come back with a torque wrench and tighten all the hardware down to the amount specified in your instructions. You can get rid of the portion of handle nuts that's sticking out. Sometimes you can work these back and forth and get them just to kind of pop off. Or you can just take a pair of snips like this and cut them. Choices up to you. At this point, you can get your safety cables installed, which I've done. This is how I set mine up. Pretty straightforward. You know, you got a D-link, put it around your base plate, and then I just took the end of the safety cable, wrapped it around twice there on that portion of our frame that comes outward, and tighten this up. So really not a whole lot to it. I do like to take zip ties every now and again and kind of zip tie everything up. And that'll just help prevent it from clunking around whenever we're driving down the road. I could take the belly pan, get this reinstalled. How this is gonna work, you're gonna have a bolt, put on a split lock washer and a flat washer. That's gonna go up through here. And then when that bolt pushes through the tab here on our base plate, you can then put on a flat washer and a nylon lock nut. With all the hardware in place and hand tight, we'll come back and get it completely tightened down. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the Blue Ox base plate kit with removable arms on our 2020 Ford Ranger.